Welcome to the regular meeting of Camden County. We're going to start off with the invocation by Mr. Goodman, then join us in the pledge. Let us stand, please, gentlemen. Remove your covers if you have one. Our Father and our God in heaven, we come to thee again in prayer, asking for guidance, asking for wisdom, asking us to be mindful of what our mission is here. Father, we thank thee for the rain. Father, we thank thee for the safety of public service people. Father, we are so grateful for the freedoms we enjoy. Father, we pray your special blessings on a family that is gathered here tonight to honor one of your servants who's going to be with you. Father, we ask, as we consider the things that we are to consider tonight, that you guide us every step of the way and that we remain mindful of why we are here. All of these things we ask in thy precious name. Amen. Amen.
United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please silence all your electronics. Thank you.
The roll call, Katie.
All commissioners are present.
Are there any amendments to the agenda? Hearing none, can I get a motion to accept the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda is presented, Chairman.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? We have an agenda. All right, this brings us to approval of the minutes. If there's no changes to the minutes from the June 16th and June 13th meetings, can we get a motion on accepting the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
The first and second to accept the meeting minutes from June 6th and June 13th. All those in favor? Motion carries. This brings us to presentations. First up is a presentation for National Waste and Recycling Workers. Who's giving that, Kate?
Yes, sir, I'm going to read that. And then we have some special people here to accept it tonight. Whereas National Garbage Man Day began in 2012 to show community appreciation for the local people of the garbage, sanitation, and recycling industry, and later changed the official name to Waste and Recycling Workers Week. The earliest garbage regulation efforts began in 3000 BC when the first landfill was developed in Crete, where large holes were dug for refuse. Since that time, Camden County solid waste workers have worked selflessly and tirelessly in all types of environments and at risk to themselves to provide solid waste services to protect communities and residents, prevent disease, and keep our community clean, safe, and beautiful. The people employed by the Camden County Solid Waste Authority make significant contributions to the safety, health, and welfare of our residents by processing millions of tons of garbage, recycling, and composting annually. In an area spanning 630.36 square miles and many miles of roads, the residents of Camden County depend on the collection and proper disposal of waste, recyclables, and compostables to promote a clean and tidy community, regardless of weather and global pandemics. The solid waste industry employs thousands of people around the United States, and they are professionals with proper certifications, licenses, degrees, and skills that provide necessary services to the communities they serve. Camden County values and celebrates our solid waste industry workers for their commitment to our residents, businesses, and communities as professional employees. Now therefore be it resolved by the Camden County Board of Commissioners, in recognition of this event, we do hereby recognize the week of June 17th through the 23rd as Waste and Recycling Workers Week in Camden County, and encourage all residents to join in thanking the hardworking men and women who ensure our communities are kept safe, clean, and healthy. And now I'd like to ask Sue and Cyrus if you come up, and we would like to get a picture, and then Seth Collins as well. One of y'all going to get
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
All right, this brings us to a proclamation honoring a very special lady, Carolyn Warren.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's my privilege tonight to introduce the family of Carolyn Warren, her two daughters, Linda Warren Horn, Donna Warren Croft, and her son Shane Gentry are here tonight, along with other family members. We'd like to recognize them. We also have a complement of folks here from the clerk's office. Ms. Warren was the clerk of court here in Camden County for a number of years. Charlene Carter, who was just a baby. She's my high school classmate. She started working at the clerk's office 43 years ago. And she has been a faithful servant here in Camden County almost as long or longer than Ms. Warren was. So we want to recognize Charlene and Dot Mercer and Kim Head, who are here from the clerk's office tonight. The clerk of court could not be here. She had an already planned family event that she's out of town for. So I'd ask that the family members, the daughters and Shane, come on up, and Charlene as well. And Charlene's going to read the proclamation for us.
Thank you. Good evening. On behalf of Ms. Jorlyn Turner, the Clerk of Superior Court, and her entire staff, both past and present, we would like to present the proclamation to the Camden County Board of Commissioners honoring the life and dedicated public service of Carolyn A. Warren. Whereas Carolyn A. Warren led an exemplary life, dedicating herself to family and to citizens of Camden County. She was born on June the 20th, 1934, to Fred and Alla Graham in Snipsville, Georgia. At age 3, her family moved to Brunswick, where she attended Glenn County schools. Carolyn was married to the love of her life, Billy Warren of White Oak, for 33 years until his death in 1985. Together, they raised 5 children: Linda, Debbie, Michael, Donna, and Shane Gentry. And whereas Carolyn started her county government career as Chief Deputy Clerk of Camden County Superior Court in 1972, and in 1979, when Clerk of Court Buford Rowe accepted a position with the U.S. District Court in Brunswick, Carolyn was appointed to fill his unexpired term. She faithfully served Camden County in that role, winning re-election for the following 20 years. And whereas Camden County's growth was tremendous during her tenure as clerk, with a concurrent opening and build up of the Kings Bay Nuclear Submarine Base. The implementation of computer technology in the clerk's office was one of her greatest achievements. All civil and criminal cases, jury selection process, and real estate transactions were computerized, allowing records to be retrieved, received, and copied immediately. Carolyn's innovations during her term in office ushered in modern government access and convenience for the citizens of Camden County. And whereas throughout those years, She continually gave back to her community by her dedicated public service, also serving as the clerk of juvenile court and the jury commission. Carolyn retired on January the 31st, 1999. She was very proud of her staff and their professionalism. She made many friends during her tenure and was loved by all who met her. And whereas Carolyn A. Warren passed away from this life on January the 21st, 2023 at the Hospice of Golden Hours. In addition to her parents, she was preceded in death by her husband Billy, her son Michael, her daughter Deborah Brazier, and grandson Edward Brazier. She is survived by her daughters, Linda Horn and Donna Croft, her son Shane, her sisters Eileen Dowdy, and many grand and great-grandchildren. And now, therefore, be it resolved by the Camden County Board of Commissioners to express their immense gratitude for her years of dedicated public service and to her contributions to our citizens by spreading this proclamation upon the minutes of these proceedings, proclaimed this 20th day of June, 2023.
Thank you. Did you want a picture?
Yeah.
No. Get up here.
All right, this brings us to our first public comment section. We're going to limit it to 3 minutes and on agenda items only. Got anybody registered, Kate?
Yes, Mr. Randall Dockery?
Thank you, County Commissioners. My name is Randall Dockery. My wife and I have lived at 101 Timber Ridge since February of 2002. And I know that the agenda item is discussion of paved private roads in non-gated neighborhoods that's on the agenda. Timber Ridge is a paved road in a non-gated neighborhood, but it is our belief that it is not a private road as the county now says it is. We believe that Timber Ridge was built as a public road subdivision from the beginning and treated as such by the county. A brief but nowhere near complete history of Timber Ridge will show this. In the fall of 1988, Palmas Real Estate Subdivision, later changed to Timber Ridge Subdivision, was approved and recorded by the county after all county requirements and signatures had been satisfied. During this period, the county attorney, the developer's attorney, the closing attorney for at least the first 2 home sales in Timber Ridge was the same attorney. We believe that that is significant. We believe that having the same attorney for the developer and the county must have had some impact on what happened with the approval of the process. We know that the plat was signed and approved, but 2 searches of the commissioner minutes could not find that approval as required. The county calls this a mistake. The same commissioner's minutes search could not find Timber Ridge road approval. The county calls this gospel and the reason why our roads are private. But from 1998 from 1998 until at least 2022, the county told the Veterans Administration, home builders, home buyers, and homeowners that the Timber Ridge roads are public. In Timber Ridge, the county put in drainage, trimmed dangerous tree limbs, repaired the cul-de-sac, picked up hurricane debris, and so on. At a minimum, the county road department, the county engineering department, the county health department, and the Georgia Department of Transportation, and even the county commissioner said, our roads are public. And it's even stated on the document on the county where it says Camden County Roads. The road used to be named Pine Ridge, and according to the Camden County records, revised in 10/19/2010, states that Pine Ridge, which is now Timber Ridge, was a county-owned road. This is the document from the county website. And so we believe that Timber Ridge is not a private, but a public, proven by the county records and our county's own records and actions taken over the last 30 years. We believe we are a public road by all the actions that have taken place over the last 30 plus years and should be made so as they were for 30 years.
Sir.
Yes, time is up. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I do have your written comment, and I'll make sure I include that in its entirety in the minutes. Mr. Paul Martineau?
Sean at this time. Thank you. I'm going to echo some of the things that Randy said, but I'll try to make them brief. My name is Paul Martineau. My wife and I have lived at 61 Timber Ridge since February 14th, 1990. I know that the agenda item is discussion of paved private roads in non-gated neighborhoods. Timber Ridge is a paved road in a non-gated neighborhood, but we believe Timber Ridge was built as a public road subdivision from the beginning and treated as such by the county. After living in and going over the history of Timber Ridge subdivision, I truly believe the county owns the roads in Timber Ridge. If I had more time to tell you what has happened from 1988 to start to now relative to Timber Ridge, I believe you would agree. For the sake of argument, let's assume that our roads are private. The United Development Code, the UDC, states in summary, the Board of Commissioners of Camden County does hereby enact as law the articles and sections contained in the UDC. It also states in summary, at the time of purchasing property that is serviced by a private street, upon any sale or resale of a property, the purchaser shall acknowledge by execution of a release that the street is private and not maintained by the county, and that maintenance of the street is the responsibility of the homeowners association. The release is to be prepared using a form acceptable by the county attorney and shall be recorded with the clerk of Superior Court along with any warranty deeds. This is Camden law. Never happened. Not in Timber Ridge. Not once. Before I became aware of the road ownership problem, I had never heard of the UDC. I doubt if most people who purchased homes in Timber Ridge knew what the UDC was either. Yet by law, new buyers were supposed to sign this release and have it recorded with the clerk of Superior Court. It's the county's responsibility to see that this happens. They know the rules, it's their UDC, their laws, and they know which roads are private. Up to at least 2019, the Camden County Road Department, the Camden County Engineering Department, the Camden County Health Department, the state of Georgia, and even our county commissioners said our roads are public. There has been at least 40 sales and resales in Timber Ridge. The biggest purchase of our lives was made without the facts that we were entitled to by the county law if the roads were indeed private. At least 6 of those sales were after the UDC came into effect. There are 15 homeowners in Timber Ridge affected by this right now. Most families, if not all, would not have purchased in Timber Ridge had we been told that the roads are private and maintenance was our responsibility. These families would not have spent hundreds, some families spent thousands of dollars paving our roads since the year 2020. There are more examples of UDC items not done by the county if our roads are indeed private. 30 years after approving Timber Ridge subdivision without benefit of being in the minutes of the commissioners' meeting as required, and 9 years after adoption by the UDC, the county says They don't own the roads in Timber Ridge that we do. And if the roads or infrastructure need attention, that's not the county's problem, it's our problem.
Time's up, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak?
Mr. Goff, would you like to speak?
I decline to come to the podium just to include.
Okay,
Thank you.
that's all I have registered, so.
Anybody else wish to speak for the board? All right, seeing none, we'll move on. This time we'll consider the consent agenda. Are there any questions from the board about the consent agenda?
Yes, sir. On the, excuse me, I'm sorry, it's not on the consent agenda. Is it the purchase of that boat? With the
It
sheriff?
is not on the consent
Thank you.
agenda.
I'm sorry, my mistake. No other questions?
All right, can we get a motion for the consent agenda?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
We have a second?
Second.
Got a first and second, all in favor? Motion carries. All right. This brings us to the regular agenda. Mr. Cheney? Major Cheney?
Good evening, Commissioners, Chairman. Come to y'all tonight for Sheriff's Office. We're in the process of purchasing a Silver Ship boat to approve that, and also 2 Mercury engines, which is a 400 Verado V10s. A little history on this: the Sheriff's Office contracts with the United States Navy. We have for the past 5 years to help support the mission of the Navy submarine base. Part of that mission is of it being 100% reimbursed all expenses, including payroll, benefits, equipment. So I ask that y'all would approve this agenda item.
So the Navy has the money for us?
Yes, sir.
I have one question, and I am solidly in favor of this as I hear it. Under situations where the Navy is not escorting, or we're not escorting or assisting in operations, is that boat available for other sheriff's department operations for the county?
It can be.
Okay. Then I am absolutely 102% solidly in favor of it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Can we get a motion on this item?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, we got a motion to approve the purchase of the boat. Any discussion? Any more discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. Brings us to the next item. Joey, you're up.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm here tonight to request the adoption of the 2023 through 2027 Camden County Joint Comprehensive Plan. Comprehensive Plan is required to be updated every 5 years in order to be considered a qualified government for any grant applications. Now, this comprehensive plan was submitted by the CRC, which was a joint effort between ourselves, Kingsland, and St. Mary's. The Department of Community Affairs has adopted this document, so therefore the Planning and Development staff recommends approval of the 2023-2027 Joint Comprehensive Plan.
I understand Woodbine is going to participate.
Their plans are to participate, so we may have to come back and amend this once they do the required
All right, can I get a motion on this item?
requirements.
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
First and second. For the adoption of the 2023-2027 Camden County Joint Comprehensive Plan. Any more discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioner.
This brings us to the next item.
Good evening, Commissioners. This agenda item is for your consideration to approve the purchase of a Chevrolet Traverse for the coroner from Bennett Chevrolet. Purchasing received 3 quotes, and of the 3 quotes, Bennett is the lowest. The vehicle for the coroner is budgeted through ARPA for $30,000. The additional $4,399 is available through ARPA also. The coroner inspected the vehicle and has confirmed that it meets his specifications and no other fit up is needed. Staff recommends approval to purchase the Traverse from Bennett Chevrolet.
At this time, I'm gonna make a motion, we table this to the next meeting. I think we need a little more information from the coroner.
I'd second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Got a first and second? Any discussion on that? All in favor of tabling it?
Thank you.
We'll take this up next meeting. Steve Patrick?
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm here to request that the Board of Commissioners amend the approval of purchase of a 2023 Dodge 500 chassis custom AEV Type 1 unit and stock it with the required equipment due to change in the chassis. If you remember, back of March 7, 23, you approved for us to purchase our 5th ambulance from AEV with a 2023 Dodge chassis. But after some issues that we are having with the Dodge chassis, talking with Fleet, we have decided to go away from the Dodge chassis. And we have decided to go with the International CV chassis. I believe you have the information in front of you. So we're coming to you once again for approval to purchase the CV chassis for this 5th ambulance.
Can I get a motion on this item?
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Second? Second. First and second to change it to a different chassis. Any discussion on this?
Can we get this?
Yes, we can, yeah. Now our wait time on our build time on the actual ambulance will probably be about the same of 18 to 24 months. Just because there's 100 other ambulances in front of us, but the chassis is available. We will not be waiting on the chassis.
And what was the reason to switch? Because of the chassis availability?
Chassis availability, we're having issues with the chassis. We don't believe the chassis is actually heavy enough for the box that we have on the back of our chassis, plus some other issues that we are seeing with the Dodges on top of the weight as itself.
Some maintenance issues?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We got a first and second. All those in favor? Motion carries.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Mr. Coughlin?
I'm just here for regular boring JDA stuff. I'd much rather have a cool boat like Kevin's got. Every year, the Georgia Department of Community Affairs, through a competitive process, evaluates submitted projects to consider for workforce housing. I think everybody knows workforce is an issue, not just in Camden County, but statewide, nationwide. One of the issues that has been figured to impact workforce is the workers' ability to actually live in the community where they work. We know right now that with the cost of construction and building materials and everything else, it's difficult for builders to deliver a product that can be afforded by most of our entry-level workers. So with that in mind, the Joint Development Authority participates with the Georgia Department of Community Affairs to help assist these projects. The way these projects work, they submit through a competitive process. If they are selected, they are awarded tax credits through the state. And those tax credits can be sold to private investors or people who need those credits, who then invest equity in these projects to offset the construction costs, and therefore the developer can offer the project at a lower rent rate. It's heavily governed by the department in terms of how they have to keep the projects up and keep the price point low so that people can afford them. So what I've got for you tonight is the consideration of a conduit revenue bond that the JDA would like to issue to support this project. This is the Vinings at Newport, which is in Kingsland. If you'll look at the resolution that I've got in front of you about the sixth whereas in that resolution, you'll see that this is not a debt on behalf of Camden County, on behalf of the JDA, on behalf of the city of Kingsland or anybody else, any public entity. The responsibility for the repayment of this bond is strictly on the developer themselves. It's a conduit bond. So that was important to us, and that is also expressed in the resolution that the Joint Development Authority did as well. We held a public hearing a couple weeks ago. Let me see, when did we do that? On May 26th. Nobody showed up with any public comment for that, but we did give the public opportunity. And really what you're being asked to do tonight is just confirm that the JDA is a legal entity and has the right to issue this type of conduit bond. And I do have the developer with us. If you've got any questions tonight of the developer, I'm happy to ask her to come up.
All right. Let's get a first and a second on before we go into discussion. Can I get a first motion on this?
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
First and second. Any discussion? Y'all want to ask them any questions?
I studied it. I already know what it said.
All right.
This is gonna be on Winding River or Winding Road.
That's right. Near the intersection of Laurel and Winding. Yes, sir.
There's two other apartment complexes already, well, one coming up and then one down by the doctor's office, right?
That's right. That's right. And it's surprising, I'll be honest with you, when even as a staff development authority person, when we saw the number of apartments being built in the area, we felt like there was a saturation, or maybe a saturation issue. If you look at all the metrics these people use to measure these products or these projects, we have a definite need. And even after this is built, we will still be considered a community in need of additional workforce housing. So we've got a lot of folks that are moving to this area that we need housing for.
Just want to make sure that this is not a Section 8.
I'm glad you asked. I was waiting for somebody to ask. No, sir, this is not. This is not a
Affordable housing.
right. It's workforce housing. It's meant for people who are making 60% of the area median income.
All right, all those in favor? Motion carries.
All right, thank you.
All right, this brings us to discussion of paved private roads in non-gated neighborhoods. Mr. Reddick, you brought this up, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So it's come to my attention that there are several existing major subdivisions that the county final platted without a mechanism for road maintenance. And the mechanisms I'm referring to would be in the form of a homeowners association, a property owners association, a maintenance agreement upon adjacent property owners that a road is serving, or a road dedication to the county. And we're specifically talking about major subdivisions which serve 10 or more lots that have uninstructed access to paved roads and no HOA or POA to maintain the private roads. And so Ms. Shalana was kind enough to put together a road name and list. There's a various amount of roads over quite a few subdivisions, and they total 5.84 miles approximation. And so, expecting citizens to, coordinate amongst themselves for maintenance efforts without those mechanisms that I mentioned is, has proven and will continue to be proven logistically infeasible. It's just not possible for that many people to come together and coordinate the efforts of maintenance on a paved road. It'd be different if it was like a dirt road or 3 or 4 people, but we're talking about subdivisions that have more than 10 people, major subdivisions. And, essentially by doing that, by the county doing that, we have set these residents up for failure. And so this is nothing against current staff, as this has been a primary issue, I'd say oversight from 20 to 30 years ago. And there could be some discrepancies as far as whether or not these roads were actually dedicated and not, and what happened to the records, as we heard from public comments earlier. And it could be argued that the original developer did not meet certain road specifications years ago, which is why the county never accepted them in the first place. However, it was the county's final discretion to approve any and all final plats, leading to this problem we're facing now. And so, from a high level view, you look at it, the county has been collecting taxes approximately 20 to 30 years from these parcels. And it's fair to say that these property owners have generated more than enough or more than their fair share of taxes to have these roads maintained. And so it's pretty clear looking at these subdivisions, they were designed to be public roads. They were not gated in exclusive neighborhoods. And so I would propose that we continue investigating this subject and ultimately, since the county had the ultimate responsibility of approving these final plats, that we entertain a motion to accept these roads and look at a determined timeline on maintenance. And I'm not saying we do that tonight, but continue researching this issue and figuring out what can be done.
Well, we can set up a work session on this because there's some subdivisions that have dirt roads that would be.
And we excluded that from, I would say the list that Ms. Shalana put together. So I'm only looking at paved roads and only looking at major subdivisions because you're correct. There's several of these dirt roads that have multiple owners that are private roads. And so we're not trying to set a precedence to say, okay, we're going to accept any and all private roads. There's certain requirements that it has to meet, but one of those requirements, it has to be a paved road. It has to be a major subdivision with more than 10 lots. And there has to not be a mechanism for road maintenance because ultimately that's the issues that we're facing is these roads are, having wear and tear on them over, a 20 to 30 year period and they're in need of maintenance. So it's just those exclusive, list of roads.
Commissioners, I had asked Shalana just to put together just a brief list. This is the list that Commissioner Reddick is referring to, as well as just other discussion points that you all may want to consider, because we will, as Commissioner Reddick mentioned, when we start to investigate this further, we would probably have to make some level of modifications either to the current ordinance or add some language to the code of ordinances just to kind of modify that. So this was just for discussion purposes. If you want to hold off this discussion until we set up the work session, we can do that. However you would like to move forward.
Yeah, I'll say we set up a work session in the future to discuss this.
Yep. And there's 4 roads missing in the Mush Bluff area on that list too. I think they got cut off on the Excel sheet from prior before they got the mileage.
But a lot of this is maybe correcting, past mistakes from previous boards.
Yeah, I think so. And I don't think we're facing this problem as a continuation going forward. I think our ordinance and UDC specifies that certain things have to be met before a final plat will be signed off on. And I've read through that pretty extensively. And, basically it's the same mechanisms that we're talking about. You've got to have, if you're going to have unobstructed access and they're going to be public roads, they should be dedicated, but if not, they're going to remain private. There must be a mechanism to maintain those roads, a maintenance agreement at the minimum, but if not, at least a HOA or a POA to.
Well, I don't remember when exactly the UDC was adopted, but some of these were done prior, before the UDC was adopted.
That's right. Yep.
And I've even seen in some of the plats that are filed over in the clerk of court's office where the county accepted a portion of the right of way, but not another right of way, all in the same subdivision. So, and I don't know if it was just because of a communication with the developer back then itself, whether they were doing, maybe weren't all up to specs on everything the county was requesting as part of that subdivision. So there's a lot of things that were probably considered back then that none of us really have the knowledge to know today.
Well, like I say, we can take it up in a work session.
Yep.
And deal with it then. Any more discussion on this? All right, this time we need a motion to adjourn the regular meeting and convene a solid waste authority meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Got a first and a second? All those in favor? We're now in a solid waste authority meeting. Is there any amendments to the agenda? Seeing none, can I get a motion to accept the agenda?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
We have a second?
Second.
Got a motion to accept the agenda. All those in favor? This brings us to the approval of the minutes from the May 16th meeting. Can I get a motion to accept the minutes from this meeting?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Seconds.
Got a first and a second. To accept the minutes for the May 16th meeting. All those in favor? Motion carries. This brings us to the first public comment section. We're limited to 3 minutes on solid waste authority agenda items only. Anybody wish to speak? All right. Seeing none? Mr. Collins?
Good evening, gentlemen. So tonight I want to come before you to request that you approve a task order 2023-01 under the General Services Agreement with Atlantic Coast Consulting Incorporated, also known as ACC, for the MSW landfill Stage 5 cell construction documents. This task order authorizes and directs ACC to proceed with assisting us with the preparation of construction documents for the Stage 5 sale of the existing State Road 110 MSW landfill. Included in this will be a standalone set of construction plans, specifications, and contract documents, and as well as ACC will provide us with land disturbance permitting services for the Stage 5 cell construction, bid phase services, and issuance of conformed contract documents. And so just so you gentlemen know, the backup for this is if you want to look at Agenda 20 at the last page, you can see Stage 5, the Stage 5 sale. It's a 6.2 acre area that that is adjacent to our current MSW landfill that we'll be expanding into. Any questions from any of you gentlemen?
How much more life out of the landfill will this give us?
Well, right now we've got about 9 years left, and to my most recent recollection, this is included in those 9 years for the landfill to keep its current life.
That was a question I had earlier too, and just talking with Robert was, would this sell? I mean, I know we've got the foundation, the footprint of the permitted site, but would this cell 5 construction, would this add some years to it?
What you do, as it goes up and you add a cell, it fills in, so you go a little bit higher with each.
I didn't know if he was basing that 10 years off of the full permitted foundation, or if he was building that off of just what we have under operation now. So that I just didn't know exactly how they were calculating that. I didn't have enough time to call him.
Well, to give you an idea on calculations, the site was designed to last for 20 years, maximum at 150 tons a day. It's received as high as 400 tons a day, and it's been in operation since September 28, 1992, and it's still got 9-10 years left. Tells you something about it, don't it?
Does,
About
sure does.
calculations.
That's right, that's right.
But in the future, we're gonna have to expand it.
Yeah, on our property. We own property, or we can acquire additional property if needed. We own 1,387 acres there, so.
Mr. Collins, how many years have we been doing business with Atlantic Coast Consulting?
For, the past at least 20 or 30 years we've been working with them, and they're pretty well known across the state of Georgia as one of the best consultants for this industry.
Always been top notch and up to board.
It's been stellar from everybody that I've spoken with.
Good, thank you.
All right, any more discussion? All right, can I get a motion on this item?
Motion to approve as presented, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Got a first and second? Any more discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. This brings us to the last public comment section for Solid Waste Authority. Anybody wish to speak? All right, this time we need a motion to adjourn the Solid Waste Authority meeting and reconvene the regular meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Motion carries. Okay. Collins, you're back up.
Perfect. All right, so guys, it's my recommendation for you guys to approve the task order 2023-01 for the Camden County MSW landfill Stage 5 cell construction documents consulting agreement with Atlantic Coast Consulting Incorporated.
I get a motion on this item?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve task order 2023-01 as presented.
We have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Motion carries.
Thank y'all.
This brings us to calendar.
I'd just like to remind you that on next Tuesday, June 27th, we'll have a special call meeting here at 6 p.m. And I will schedule that work session after I speak with all of you and look at the calendar, and we'll get that added to the county website calendar as well.
County administrator comments?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I'd just like to really thank Joey and his staff and their leadership as far as getting the comp plan done. That's a major hurdle for us every 5 years, and really thankful to all of the citizens who gave us feedback, participated. I saw some in the room earlier, but I think maybe they've stepped out. But it's a really long effort. Usually takes about anywhere from 9 to 12 months to accomplish this, and just very excited for all of their hard work and the acceptance of DCA. Also, just schedule-wise, we have postponed the Citizens Academy graduation to June 29th at 6 p.m. So looking forward to having each of you there. There will be a Q&A opportunity for each of the commissioners. We hope that each of you will be able to enjoy that time with us. We've got several that are going to be graduating that. Also, the 2023 photo contest, we've announced that. Deadlines for submissions are September 1st of 2023. And that's all I have this evening. Any questions?
This brings us to the final public comment section of the night. It'll be limited to 3 minutes. Are there any registered speakers, Kathy?
Yes, I have a few. The first will be Mr. Steve Winkle.
Thank you. While Mr. Winkle is making his way, can somebody work their magic with the thermostat and do the temporary override? I'm turning blue up here.
It's already off.
Thank you, Brenda.
I asked Katie to give you a copy of this, since y'all would not allow me to make a presentation tonight. Y'all have that? My discussion is about reopening Pro 3 mini golf on Pro 3 Parkway next to the soccer fields. We have a public group that has organized in order to turn that operation into a nonprofit that will generate limited income for the county, but remove it as a liability from the county's stable of many abandoned items. For instance, I was in one of the county parks that has received part of the unincorporated money, and neither the water fountain nor the bathroom door that I attempted to use would operate. Bathroom door was unlocked. I'm making you an offer, this group is making an offer that we think that you'll want to accept. We're taking the abandoned, ugly, and overgrown, very high quality mini golf that is next to the soccer fields, and we'll put it back into operations to benefit the taxpayers and visitors to Camden County. But the unique aspect of our plan is that it will generate 100% of revenue from concessions, which is the majority of mini golf, will go entirely to Camden County participating charities. The charities will contribute the labor to produce the concessions. They'll be there to man during the open hours, and the number of participating charities will be dependent on how many wish to take advantage of it. The county will receive around $1,900 in the first year for the value of the property taxes that are not being collected based on the valuation of that property.
we would expect the county, because it would find great value in the public taking care of what is both an eyesore and a liability, that the county would welcome a project like this, which would be a benefit to Camden County families, to our visitor industry, but also to the participating charities. There will be no salaries. There is no ownership transfer. The county retains ownership of the land. The facility will pay its own insurance costs and will negotiate those in order to get the most favorable conditions.
Your time's up, Mr. Winkle.
I need 2 more minutes to complete this.
Your time's up. I'd like to request that Mr. Winkle be allowed the 2 minutes. I'm going to deny that. All right, anybody else wish to speak?
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Ricky Manning.
100% of game revenue will support the,
Mr. Winkle,
sorry?
you are not Mr. Manning. If
Oh.
Mr. Manning wants to come up and speak, he can.
Thank you.
Ricky Manning from Bullhead. Commissioners, on April 18th, I addressed this board with a request to take action against a representative of the people for his public slander and threats. For legal advice, I was told to give this board 60 days to respond and or resolve this issue with me. As of today, the only response has been a smart, sarcastic public post on social media. I have yet to receive any feedback or even an apology for the abuse of power and threats to myself by a city commissioner from any of you. I have also been publicly accused of being a threat to the public health and safety, when in fact it is this board whom are using the taxpayers' monies to promote and threaten public health, which I will address at a future meeting. The wait period is over. The board has had plenty of time to resolve this issue, yet has chosen to condone these actions, thereby implicating each of you in this attack on me and singling myself out in an attempt to silence me from being an outspoken citizen. Unlike this board, I do not retreat to a dark room and hide my intentions from this public. Depending on the actions taken by this board between now and Monday, June the 26th, I will move forward and seek any and all legal actions afforded to me by the state of Georgia and the Constitution of the United States. Thank you.
Anybody else, Katie?
Jim Goodman, 309 Burrell Boulevard, St. Mary's. I attended an organizational meeting reference to the Pro 3 golf properties. I heard some very good ideas. I didn't hear any bad ideas. Some of the things I heard were that 100% of the game revenue will support the facility and the operating costs. There'll be no administrative salaries, and it will pay the sales and property taxes on a derelict property that is serving no purpose except to breed mosquitoes and other vector-borne health hazards. Families will love it. Visitors will love it. Camden County charities will love it because they'll be the beneficiaries. It'll offer opportunities for volunteer groups to step forward and be altruistic in their community. The facility will pay the property tax, the sales tax, insurance and construction costs, and utilities. The group will request a 25-year lease as it is and $1 a year, and the county's blessings and cooperations. If you want a board member, absolutely. Now, isn't that better than converting it to a parking lot that is needed not needed 360 days a year? Gentlemen, We have an opportunity to do something worthwhile here. And I appreciate the opportunity to step forward and support this as a citizen and as a commissioner. Thank you very much.
All right, I will say one thing on this. Mr. Goodman brought this up after the agenda timeline was done. I told him to bring the information to us and we'll put it on the agenda for the next meeting. And we would do that.
We're doing that now.
You want to make a motion on something?
No, I was just wondering, have you requested it to be on our next agenda?
I'm sorry.
Is it going to be on our next agenda? Have you made the request?
I have not at this point decided to do that. That will depend on what the wishes of the steering committee for this group wants to do in view of how it's being handled. This is kind of a fluid thing. But, I maintain I'm still a citizen and I appreciate the opportunity to address the board and to address myself from the podium. It will be a test case if it's ever challenged.
Well, according to our rules, you asking for it to be put on the agenda was late. It is not a pressing need as far as the continuation of the operation of the county.
I agree with that,
That's why I
Mr.
did not allow it.
And
I offered to put it on the agenda for the next meeting.
And I thank you for that. And I may take that offer up and you'll notice that I did not challenge what you said. I did not say, no, that's not fair, because I think what you did was fair to me. I did get it in late. That was because I received it late. So that process is one thing, this process is another, and going forward, I still may want to bring it to the board.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Is there anybody else which to speak for the board?
Can I speak from up here?
Sure.
Okay. 20 years ago, when the paper mill shut down, I had to start a business. I wrote a business plan. It took me almost a month to write this business plan. I don't see a business plan. All I see are emotions. A business plan basically says.
I had 3
Mr.
minutes.
Winkle, you've had your time, sir.
I'm being attacked for not
No,
following.
I'm not attacking. I'm not attacking.
Sir.
I'm simply stating the facts. I went to the banks. I asked them if they would loan me money, to which they asked me for my business proposal. I gave it to them. It was intangible. It was just like this. I thought it was great. I thought it was a good proposal and I thought it would really work, but I didn't get a dime, not one dime. To me, I've been out there and I've looked at this as well. And if you've ever been out there on a Saturday, even though they don't park there 365 days a year, they are parked in there and all the way out to Kings Bay Road. If you put something else in there, you've got to decide where you're going to park when that little amount of time is there. You got to make those plans. You got to bring that to the bank. You've also got to put a building up. You've got to bring water to that place. You've got to put the bathrooms in there so that you can do it. There's a lot more to it than just simply jumping out and saying, I want to do this. I'm one of those people that loves to say that. However, I have been turned down time and time and time again unless I had it specifically in writing.
Well, we can take this up and, if they want to put it on the next meeting agenda, we can take it up now.
Okay.
All right. Anybody else wish to speak? All right. This time we need to adjourn the regular meeting, convene an executive session for the purpose of discussion items exempt under OCGA 50-14 3B4. This is information technology related and litigation, non-spaceport related.
Motion so moved.
Second.
Got a first and second, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
I was jumping again.
All right, we'll be back after executive session. adjourn the executive session and reconvene the regular meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Any action from the executive session?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion. Motion to approve the county IT department's technology software license renewals for $33,053.32.
Second.
All right, we got a first and second to approve the IT purchase. Any discussion? We just had that. So all those in favor? Motion carries. All right, this brings us to adjournment. Have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? We are done.